All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Got an early morning video for you guys here, just touching on my video from yesterday. Starting with the polls, again, everybody's calling them out. Most people feel that they're rigged, especially when you take a look at Pierre's rallies. The hangar was so big, he drove his election campaign bus into it, and it was still packed full of people. So, yeah, there's definitely something's wrong with the polls. What we see in person versus what we see online are two different things. Yeah, the stock market's kind of crashing too ever since Trump's tariffs were announced yesterday. So I went through this fact sheet. Donald Trump declares national emergency to increase our competitive edge, referring to International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. And in this, he puts a blanket tariff across all countries of 10%. He lists a few exemptions here and as well as in here. So I took all of this legalese and I got it broken down for us to read nice and easy. And not only that, I took the video from yesterday, this one here, where Trump talks about all the tariffs and his release with the sign and everything. And I took this transcript and I had it translated into English. So here's a simpler version of the statements that I was just talking about and what I read out last night in my other video. I'm not going to read them out again. Right now, the U.S. has special rules for Canada and Mexico because of problems with drugs, i.e. fentanyl, and people crossing borders. It's not just that in Canada, it's also the woke World Economic Forum agenda and the liberal regime. We are not far off. That's why I got a mask on. We are not far off from our censorship becoming to the point where us independent journalists, podcasters are going to become imprisoned. We're not far from seeing Tommy Robinson happening in Canada, especially if the Liberals get in. They'll definitely enforce the new bill of censorship, as they've already started talking about it on news, which is another video I'll do. However, getting back into this. Special rules Canada and Mexico because of problems. Rules don't change with this new order. Right there. Rules do not change with this new order. Here's what it means for stuff coming into the U.S. Goods that follow U.S Mexico-Canada trade deal, USMCA, do not get extra taxes. They are free to come in, as they always have been. Everybody's like on again, off again, tariffs. Trump put on tariffs, realized that it violated this trade agreement, amended it to make sure that it complied with this, and then went forward with it. Goods that do not follow the USMCA have a 20% tax or a 20% tariff. Energy stuff, I'm not too sure what they refer to energy when they refer to energy, but that can refer to a lot of stuff. And potash, as well as other critical minerals that don't follow the deal, get a smaller 10% tax. So goods under USMCA don't get extra taxes. They're going to be left as they are. All goods that do not follow under the USMCA are going to get a 25% tax unless they are energy or critical minerals. They'll get a 10% tariff tax. If those special drug and border rules go away later, goods that do not follow will still get an additional 12% tariff. Basically, the U.S. wants to keep trade easy with Canada and Mexico, but they play by the rules. Cleaner streets, get rid of the homelessness, get rid of the woke, get rid of the WEF, New World Order, and we'll be looking at a lot better Canada, and that's going to happen with Pierre. Again, here's the transcripts, went through it all. Section 232 is the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, authorizes the Secretary of Commerce to conduct comprehensive investigations. So that's referring back to here. For Canada, Mexico, existing fentanyl migration IEEPA orders remain in effect and are unaffected by this order. So these tariffs will remain in effect as well as unaffected by this order. However, this order will remain precedent or take precedence. Hopefully that kind of clears everything up for you. The border fentanyl migration tariffs are still there. They didn't get an increase. However, all non-USMCA compliant goods will now see an additional 25% tariff, as well as reciprocal tariffs. And then non-USMCA compliant energy potash will see a 10% tariff. And then in the event all these the existing fentanyl migration orders are terminated, the non-USMCA compliant goods would be subject to 12% reciprocal tariffs. So for that to happen, streets have to be clean, less crime, less drugs, less World Economic Forum, less liberals. Time for Canada to get a change. Time for us to change Canada. Time for us to take our country back. Hopefully this video helps everybody kind of get through the confusion of the legalese terminology. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for staying up to date.